Hello my loves, I hope you are doing really well. In today's episode I will tell you all about the journey before we bought the house. I share some important tips if you are planning to buy a renovation project yourself. I walk you through some of the changes we decided to make, and of course I show you the very beginning of the renovation. I hope you want to follow along on this journey, and if you do enjoy the video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming episodes, because we have a lot to go through. Also, I recently started editing in DaVinci Resolve, so please be patient with me while I learn. And honestly, I'm always open to hear tips and feedback from you guys, so please let me know if there is anything you think that I could do better. Well, I guess it is, but anyways, let's jump in today's episode now. Firstly, we'll go back to Pause Me for a quick introduction before I will come back and tell you the full story of how we ended up buying this house. Good morning, guys. It is now Sunday morning and me and Oscar are in the house, and we are going to start with some easier renovation work today. We are going to get help with the bigger part of the renovation, but today we are going to start with taking down some doors inside and some of the kitchen cabinets. So I thought it would be fun for you to follow along, so let's start. Well, at this point you might be wondering why we're moving kitchen doors and cabinets today when most of it will eventually be demolished anyway. But we wanted to save as much material as possible to either donate, sell or reuse instead of just throwing it away. Unfortunately, the kitchen cabinets itself, they were custom built on site, so removing them without destroying them wasn't really possible. But at least the cabinet fronts and drawers can hopefully get a second chance and a second life somewhere else. But anyway, when I first saw the listing of this house, it honestly felt a little bit like love at first sight. It gave us the opportunity to create something completely our own from the beginning. A lot of those homes that we were looking at before, they had quite recently gone through some sort of renovation, and well, it honestly felt wrong to both financially and sustainability buy a newly renovated home just to tear it down and redo it again to our liking, because maybe the kitchen was just a couple of years old, but it really didn't match our style. I mean, we saw really beautiful apartments with like red kitchens or like really spectacle bathrooms, and I mean, it's nothing wrong with that, it's just not our style. Here you can see the progress of today, so we feel quite satisfied with this. So all the doors to the kitchen are done, and then we are going for the electronics next time. And out here we have taken some of the lists and then all the doors, and as you saw, this one. So yeah, we feel satisfied for the day. Now time to go home. Now it was finally time for a trip out to the house with my mother-in-law, and we can finally show them everything we've done so far. And well, let's just say they were pretty shocked when they saw that basically everything was gone. I don't think they had fully realized that we were planning to renovate pretty much the entire house. They definitely belong to that generation, you know, that says, wait, but this still works perfectly fine. Why spend money replacing it? Meanwhile, we clearly had slightly different plans. And while we were there, we also took the opportunity to have a little fika and also borrowed their lawnmower, because by this point the grass had completely taken over the garden and become totally overgrown. We had actually been looking for an apartment for a couple of years and even placed bid on a few, but this was during the period after the pandemic, when the housing prices in Sweden, they absolutely skyrocketed. And you know, suddenly everyone wanted more space, a home office, a garden, basically a different lifestyle. And well, I get it, so did we. Looking back now, I'm actually grateful things didn't work out back then, because it pushed us to expand our search area and rethink what we really wanted as well. We slowly started realizing that we wanted a small garden too, both for ourselves and of course for the girls. They were sitting in the windowsill and looking at the few birds that were like on top of the other roofs of the other apartments across the street, but they never got like the feeling of being outside, other than then we took them with us when we visited my parents or something like that. And quite a big part of buying a house with a little garden was actually for the cats to be able to be outside, because I think they almost appreciate it more than we do now. And then one day I found this house. Something just clicked immediately. I booked a viewing of the house, and even though there were clearly a lot of work ahead of us, I could already see the potential. The second I got home, I sketched out a completely new floor plan to see if the house could realistically work for our family. And because of my job, where I work with new build homes, I was able to quickly put together a concept and get a rough renovation estimate from my contractors that we are working with. After sitting down with the numbers for a few hours, we realized that buying the house and renovating it was actually within our budget. And after that, I booked a second viewing and brought our carpenter with us to get his opinion on my ideas and to verify the renovation cost. The thing that he had been calculating on was just my fast sketch and like a lot of list with things that I wanted him to include, like the kitchen and the bathroom and the tiles and the paint and everything, but he hadn't seen the status of the house, so I thought it was really important to bring him there. And that is probably one of my biggest tips if you are buying a renovation project. I guess there are 4 tips I can give you. First of all, read the entire inspection report, and I mean the entire thing, okay? Secondly, call the inspector and ask questions. You get a much better understanding by actually talking to them instead of only reading the report itself. Thirdly, bring an expert to a second viewing if possible, either someone who will help you with the renovation or someone you trust who has experience with construction and renovations. And finally, make a renovation budget before signing the contract, okay? So you know you can realistically complete the project. Alright, well, because we chose a smaller house in a smaller town that needed a lot of renovation, we were able to find something with a great location for much reasonable price compared to a home in our hometown. And together with the knowledge to redesign the layout and the contacts needed to carry out the renovation, we decided to take the leap. As soon as everything was signed, the real work began. We started with creating a proper drawing, true to scale, for the contractor and also for preparing the building permit. In Sweden, you actually need a permit if you want to move the water and the plumbing. So that was like the first thing we needed to get done. And with that said, we also needed a control manager, which basically is someone responsible for making sure the renovation follows all regulations and inspections during the construction process. Hi guys, so now we are in the house again, and currently I'm standing in what's about to be the kitchen. So nothing much to see maybe, but yeah, I will show you how it looks right now. Now I am in our to-be bathroom, and it feels great. We are going to have both a bathtub and a shower, so it's going to be really, really nice. And speaking of plumbing, we also decided to install a water-based underfloor heating throughout the house instead of replacing the old radiators. The old heating system was outdated anyways, and the price difference, honestly, wasn't that big compared to installing completely new radiators. Plus, we really like the cleaner look without visible radiators everywhere, and it gives us much more freedom when furnishing the rooms. Once we decided on underfloor heating, our plumber also calculated the cost of replacing the old district heating unit. I think that's what it's called. It's called fjärrvärme in Swedish. And at that point, it felt a little pointless to install an entirely new heating system while keeping an outdated unit connected to it. A brand new heating exchanger ended up costing around 40,000 Swedish crowns, which honestly felt like a worthwhile investment. That way, we know that all the important systems, electricity, plumbing, sewage, and heating, are updated properly, instead of only making the surface look new with paint and tiles in the new kitchen. Another major part of this renovation, it was replacing the roof. I will talk more about this later in the series, but long story short, the roof was basically living on borrowed time. The inspector more or less said it might last a few more years, or it could start leaking tomorrow. Well, that's great news, we thought. And well, after investing this much time, energy and money into a renovation, we simply didn't want to risk a possible water damage destroying everything later on. Also, I highly doubt the insurance company would have been very understanding if something had happened after ignoring the inspection report. And with that said, I think it is finally time to reveal the original floor plan compared to the new floor plan. And I bet you are excited, at least I am. But you'll have to wait until the next episode for that. I really hope you have enjoyed spending some time with us today and getting a little bit more information of our project so far. And if you are still here, please hit that like button if you haven't already. And don't forget to subscribe because there are lots more content to come. And I see you next week. Bye!